Hello everybody, it's Joel from Silver Arrow Cars, and this nugget is one of my favorites. It's certainly not the most expensive, and it's certainly not the most luxurious, but I'm a big fan of four-wheel drives and classic four-wheel drives, and this is one of the icons. This is our 1992 Toyota 4Runner SR5 V6. And this vehicle only has 28,800 miles or 45,500 kilometers. That is a very difficult thing to locate, and especially in this kind of condition. These guys are a pretty iconic four-wheel drive, I think, from the 80s and 90s. This being a 92 makes it a second generation 4Runner. So this was after a facelift occurred. The 92 model year, I believe, was a facelift year, but the major generation change after that first generation, which had the removable rear top and was just a two-door, we all know it, the square body style, the Marty McFly era. This is the second generation. So this is when they went to four doors. They went to a coil sprung rear suspension. It does have independent front suspension with a torsion bar system. Steel body on frame. They retained the same V6 that they used in the end of the first generation, which is the 3-liter V6. There was 4-cylinder models as well, but the V6 was the big engine for the time. This is an automatic transmission. This one, spec-wise, it is a V6, so that was an option. It is an air-conditioned model, so this is great for any of the hot climates down in the US. It is an automatic transmission. No sunroof in this guy. It does have a cloth interior and manual windows. I'd say on this vehicle specifically, the big draw is going to be the odometer, and the overall condition is just absolutely incredible. I'll show you underneath the vehicle. I'll show you inside. I'd really love to put this one in my own garage. However, this is destined for no reserve, bring a trailer. So I just want to mention quickly that I think if you're at all in tune or not in tune with any of the classic four-wheel drive market on the imports, and specifically 4Runners, the third generation and the first generation have been hot up until now, and I think that leaves an opportunity on the second generation models. The third generation got the bigger fender flares, had some updates on the interior, and then the first generation with that removable top makes it pretty iconic. However, these second generation vehicles, I think, have a big opportunity for upside, as so far they haven't been highly coveted. This one, I have no doubt that it's going to go for a massive premium with this odometer in this condition. This comes from Vancouver, British Columbia. If you don't know our climate, it's very similar to Seattle. Rarely gets snow, mostly rain. This was an older Asian fella that had owned this thing from new, and he always kept it in his garage, which is very evident from the condition. These vehicles usually got a lot of rust problems, plaguing the frame of them or plaguing the body. A lot of these, you'd actually see a lot of rust in the fender flare area, both on the front and then back here in the rear as well. And then in the frames, it was quite often that you'd find problems with rust with them. This one is still has basically a black painted frame from the factory, and I'll show you. Try and get out of the sun here. If you look in there and you look at the frame, now typical, the paint would flake away from the welds, and you'd get a little bit of surface rust like you see on the control arm there, and this vehicle hardly has any of that, which is just incredible. Metallic blue. This vehicle was sold new and will come in the auction with its original steel wheels. The SR5 aluminum wheels were an option, and we decided to add them to this vehicle. I think it gives it a better look. In doing so, it was still rides on, and the wheels will come in the auction and will come in the back of the vehicle, those original stamped steel wheels, but they also had their original Dunlop tires on them. So when we put the SR5 aluminum wheels on, these are basically brand new wheels. You can't buy them anymore from Toyota, so you have to source them and then resurface them. So they're basically a brand new wheel from an old wheel. The Dunlop tires that originally would have come on this were not available anymore, so we went with a Geolander, a Yokohama Geolander, which in my mind is close to what you actually would have got originally from the dealer. So it's an all-terrain tire. It's good for the snow, but it's not too aggressive. It's a 31-inch. Gives it a great stance, has an amazing ride to it. It's nice and quiet on the road. Kind of rounds out the look and gives it almost that brochure-like look, in my opinion. So let's get up close here. So I showed you the wheel well. I'll give you a little look at the wheels here. So it's a polished face, or a machined face, and then it does have a contrasting gray silver inside the wheel as well. As I said, the 31-inch Geolanders. And let's walk around and look at the overall shape of it here. So these chrome bumpers usually got a lot of rust to them. This is the original, and a little scuff there, but realistically, just beautiful. The headlights, still the original Toyota headlights on both sides. Perfect glass. The grille here, the odd little chip, you could touch those up if you wanted, but that's just kind of par for the course. The lenses here, the plastic is in great condition. It's not spidering, there's no cracks or anything. Same thing here with the side markers. These are your turn signals, these are your side markers. Across the front edge of the hood, a little chafe there. The odd, really small nick, but you'll see it in all of our pictures. But if you're looking up over the hood, pretty spectacular. Down the side of the vehicle, a couple little nicks here. Those could be touched up very easily. And there's just the odd one down the side of the vehicle here. But overall, incredible. Just so rare to see one kept in this good condition with such low mileage. The chrome, the plastic chrome on the mirror caps, great shape. Looks like the windshield was replaced. It doesn't show it being a Toyota windshield. That's not shocking. So the windshield is in great shape. I could be wrong, but I think that would be Toyota glass if it was original Toyota glass, but otherwise no real evidence of it. All the seals, extremely pliable rubber still. The cowl looks great. Wiper arms, those are replaceable but in good shape. Again, the odd little nick. Those I would just buy some touch-up paint and touch those up, but again, that's just kind of showing you true condition of the 4Runner. So the odd place on these guys, you'll see tiny bits of surfacey rust. That's just from road wear and the black chipping away, but hopefully you can see this. If you look underneath, it's just incredible what kind of shape it's all in. Now we did take this to Toyota and do a full inspection and service on it. The only thing we really needed to do was replace the exhaust. The exhaust had seen the end of its life, and so we replaced it there from the cat back. That's all new exhaust straight from Toyota. Stone guard in the back, great shape. All the glass, there's all your Toyota markings. Same thing with here in the back. We'll get to the other side. Looking up on the roof, super cool. Driving these things is very fun. They're a small, pretty light SUV, so they've got, even with the small little V6, they have lots of power. Well, that might be an exaggeration. Lots of power. They have adequate power for how small an SUV. Very capable four-wheel drives, by the way. Door panels, basically like new. Same thing if we're looking into the interior. The driver's seat on almost every 4Runner is, in most cars, is always a concern for people. The bolsters here show zero wear. Same with the edge of the seat here. I can't point anything out there, and I've driven this a fair bit, and all the cushioning and the padding in the seats feels like it would be as if it was a new vehicle. There is your VIN sticker. The steering wheel, again, feels very much like new. The acrylic for the gauge cluster, no spiders, no scratches, no nothing. It looks really, really good. And then everything else, the dash, there's nothing to point out. The does have cup holders, not broken. Does have AC, which is a big deal. Does have manual windows, so it's not a super high spec, but at least it does have the AC. Stereo works fantastic. And then shift linkage and everything in the center console works as it should. And again, I could go over every door panel, but there's no point. Honestly, it is very much like new everywhere. Headliner's perfect. Looking up at sun visors, everything looks like it was never touched. Your map lights. Does have tilt, does not have cruise. Let's get into the back here. All the carpets are in great shape. Has the original carpets and floor mats. Does have that classic rear climate down here. 2 speeds. But it's just very cool to see one of these Toyotas preserved this well. They all got used. They were always inexpensive years ago for students, kids for first vehicles, hand-me-downs. Certainly nobody thought about any collectability, and so a lot of them were not preserved. Nothing to point out around the back. Bumpers basically look like new. Same with the rear cargo, black trim along the bumper. Incredible. There's a little bit of pitting here on the chrome. It's very, very slight. Emblems are great. The whole rear hatch looks, or not hatch, tailgate I should say, looks fantastic. Should have the keys in my pocket here. Roll the window down. That rear wiper, these pieces always corroded and still do on newer generation ones. All in really good shape. Let's unlock that rear tailgate. Fold them down. A little bit of wear showing there. Very little though. Just not absolutely perfect. All these side panels, usually these cargo areas, got really nicked up because people would use them as intended. All that plastic looks really, really great. Does have the rear tonneau, security tonneau. Let's see if I can reach it. No rips, tears, or anything in that. That's very cool. So let's look here into the jambs of the tailgate. Again, you can just see This was just an extremely well kept 4Runner. This isn't an immense amount of reconditioning on our part or anybody's. This is all just essentially how it came to us. We washed it, looked great after washing it, and then we did our detail. Now I'll swing us down the passenger side again. It's going to be the same as the other side, so there's nothing really for me to point out to you. I think the other side has the rock chips. This side has very few. See this guy here? Small one here in the door. Another one there. So I would guess that the other side was actually probably another vehicle that caused a lot of that chipping, as it's not the same on this side. There's a couple here around the rear of the rear door at the bottom. But check this out. If you get into the, look at that frame. That's not a replacement. That's the original frame. Everything is original underneath, as we understand it and can tell. I mean, there is wear, but that's just crazy. That's just garage kept. Let's see if we can get some more. I know a lot of you Toyota people are going to be very concerned about all this, so let's get as much as we can. Look at that frame. Just something else. Okay, so I think that gives you a pretty good idea. Again, I got nothing to share with you other than crazy condition and upkeep. This passenger side, I got nothing to point out to you. Seats are fantastic. I'm sure this one didn't get much use at all. That was our snack. Little scratch here if we want to get picky in the hard plastic, but that is pretty minor. I'll pop the hood and then we'll wrap this guy up. I know I'm going a little bit more in depth than I normally do, and this is getting a bit long in the tooth. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. All pretty tiddly. Obviously these are new plug wires, but other than some of that light corrosion on the intake, you can still see a lot of the catting on the fittings, nuts, bolts, all the hoses, brake booster, the aluminum. Just in crazy great shape. Now, this is the important thing. This vehicle conforms to US EPA regulations applicable to the 1992 model year new light duty trucks with a curb weight greater than 3,450 pounds. Fed and Canada. So this is compliant. Regardless, this is compliant in the US. But there's your EPA sticker. It does have miles per hour on the speedometer. This is good to go. California is the only one that I would not guarantee, and that is for you to find out on your own, as California is very different from all of the other states. Anyway, you guys, hopefully that's a little bit of education for you, and hopefully I haven't completely bored you, but as I said, I got big love for these classic 4Runners, and this one I think is a great opportunity for somebody to snag a classic. I think you can put a couple thousand kilometers or 1,600 miles on it a year for a while here and not really affect your value. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much. Good luck.